Hey guys, this is Dr. McKenzie, and right now I'm just going to show you why I don't like the squat or training with multiple sets when trying to increase power production from the legs. Real quick, I just want you to watch a video from stack.com and with the strength and conditioning coach from the Detroit Tigers. Here you go.
To get him as strong as possible. So we typically we don't typically do anything under about 5 to 6 reps. Right now, that first set is a warm up. We don't even really count that. It's that's a set of 10, and then from there we're typically going about six reps, 4 sets. Now for Justin in particular, we have to progressively get him to the weight that he's going to be working at. So it took us 4 sets to get there. Right now, I want to conserve his energy, so when that last set comes and he's at the most weight, he can perform that at his max effort. So we typically do 1 set of 10, and then we'll go into 4 sets of 6.
Okay, so why I don't like to train multiple sets of 5 to 6 reps. So first of all, it's a common fallacy that you need to work up to your heaviest weight over multiple sets. If you do this, you are actually taxing your energy systems and leaving less in your tank to perform the next set. Think of repeat sprints. If your coach asked you to run repeated sprints around the bases, say he asked you to run them 6 times around the bases, and the first time he wanted you to do it at 50%, and then the next 4 times he wanted you to run it at 80 to 90%, and then your last time he wanted you to do it at 100%. When you actually run that last sprint at 100%, you're probably actually running slower than what you did when you were running between 80 and 90%. And that's because you do not have enough energy in your system to sustain that kind of muscular contraction for that long. So this can set you up for injury during your workout. It's the same thing with the sprints. If you don't have enough energy to actually maintain that high speed, when you're working out with heavy loads between 5 and 6 reps, you don't have enough energy to push that weight up. Okay, so you could actually injure yourself. And by the way, when you do sprints and weightlifting, they're both using the same energy system, depending how long you maintain a contraction for. So just a word on muscular strengthening. A lot of people think that you need muscular hypertrophy, or you need to increase the size of the muscle in order to gain strength. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, you do not need to increase muscular size to increase strength. Now, there are two types of muscular hypertrophy, which we'll touch on just really quick. If you look at the picture on the left, you see a skeletal muscle and then a long piece that comes out. It's called the myofibril, which houses the contractile proteins, or the actin and the myosin, that slide across each other, which creates a contraction. And the sarcoplasm is the fluid that surrounds the myofibrils. Okay, it contains nuclei, organelles such as the mitochondria, all that stuff that you learned in school that you've probably forgotten, unless you love biology. So if we look at the picture on the right, the last 2 shots. So the shot in the middle shows us sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So the muscle can actually increase in size if we increase the freestanding fluid. Although if we increase the amount of organelles, mitochondria in there, that can actually make the muscle appear like it's larger. And you will increase a small amount of strength, but you won't increase it the most. Now, there's also myofibrillar hypertrophy. When we're training myofibrillar hypertrophy, we actually increase the number and or the size of the number of the myofibrils in the muscle, and that's probably the best way that we can increase our strength. But we don't need to actually increase the size of them. Okay, so this is completely influenced by the way that we train. Now, there are multiple muscle fiber types, which I'm not really going to get into here, but the type 2B muscle fiber types are the types of muscles that we need to train for strength and power. Now, depending on the amount of reps that we do, depends on the thing that we train. So, in order to train for myofibrillar hypertrophy, within the rep range of, well, we would need to do reps of between 1 rep and 5 reps. And if we're going to train for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, so if we're going to make the muscle larger by increasing the freestanding fluid, we need to train between 6 and 10 reps. Now, if we're doing multiple sets of 5 to 6 reps, we're kind of right on that range of increasing myofibrillar hypertrophy and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is actually going to contribute to a weight gain, which when we gain weight, it actually slows us. Okay, so we don't need to increase our weight or our size in order to get stronger again. And so when we do multiple sets, you'll notice that you might start to feel the burn. Okay, and that's dependent on the energy system that we're using, and I'll touch on that in just a little bit. So for athletic dominance, the goal is not bigger, stronger, faster. The goal is only stronger, faster, and quicker. So a word on energy systems. So there are 2 systems. There's anaerobic and aerobic. Baseball players never use the aerobic system, therefore they should never train it. It's good for like just general cardiovascular health, but for sports specificity, no baseball player ever uses the aerobic system. Now, I probably have won over a lot of athletes and probably have a lot of coaches being like, yeah, right. But the aerobic system, you would use oxygen for your main energy source. Now, the explosive movements that baseball players perform, they are using the anaerobic system, and it does not matter if they're playing for 1 inning, 9 innings, or 12 hours. Okay, all of their sport movements are anaerobic. Okay, which means they are not using oxygen. So the focus should be on the anaerobic muscle system. Now there are 2 kinds actually. There's the phosphagen system and the glycolysis system. They both supply ATP, which is the main muscle, which is the main energy source for skeletal muscle. But the phosphagen system does it much better, much better. And here's why. So, how do we use the phosphagen system? Well, we have to do it very carefully. One, you need to do short bouts of muscle force production or contraction, so anywhere from 8 to 10 seconds, and then your amount of ATP is completely exhausted until you at least take a 5-minute rest break to allow the phosphagen system to regenerate. Okay, if you do not, you will use the glycolysis system and you will feel the burn. And what the burn is lactic acid that develops in the muscle. And I'm not going to go into how it develops, but that lactic acid actually, it burns because it destroys the free nerve endings on the muscle. So, and that can actually impair neuromuscular force development. So we actually do not need to create the burn. We don't want to create the burn when we're trying to improve strength and or power. And here's why I don't like the squats. So compared to other exercises, squats are the least safe, particularly for the low back. They also require an eccentric loading phase before a concentric phase. So an eccentric phase is when a muscle is contracting but it's lengthening. Okay, so if we look at the squat and if we look at the quads are actually lengthening, so they're lengthening around the knee when we're lowering the weight, and then a concentric phase happens, so the muscle shortens when we push that weight up. Now, the main sport demand at the legs for pitching is a concentric phase or a concentric contraction. Okay, if you think about it, when you go to pitch, okay, you kind of explode off the rubber. Okay, and what happens is you are straightening the back leg, right? You're straightening the back leg, snapping your hips completely forward, so your trail leg, so your trail hip is extending, and your quad is completely contracted. Okay, it's the muscle is actually shortened. So that is a concentric phase or a concentric contraction. So the focus should be on concentric explosion movements. Eccentrics can be used to facilitate more power production after the concentric phase, and it usually is with body weight. So a special thank you to Stack and the Detroit Tigers coach for producing their video at stack.com. I'll shoot that link up underneath the video. And as always, if you'd like to know how I train my pitchers to increase velocity, click the link that's right below this video to get access to 4 free training videos. I will only collect your email address to give you a new video every day for 4 days. Enjoy the rest of your day.